Continuing our coverage of CPAC here, day 2 at National Harbor, we're joined by the former Acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, now with America First Policy Institute.
That's right.
And I got to say, I mean, you talk about America First Policy, and nothing shows what has collapsed more in the Biden administration than our border right now.
It's such a dramatic change.
And as Secretary of Homeland Security or Acting Secretary, that was obviously your responsibility. How bad is it, from your expert opinion, right now? And whenever I talk to someone who's an expert, they say it's worse than what you see.
Yeah, it is, and it's hard to quantify how bad it is, right? We're seeing numbers, and we're seeing the amount of illegal narcotics that we've never seen before. So I can say it's as bad as it's ever been, but I'm not really sure that does its justice, because the numbers and what I see, at least being publicly reported, it's so astronomically. I could have never imagined this serving when I did as acting secretary, that we would see what we're seeing today.
So when Mayorkas says, oh, the border is secure, it's all orderly process, I mean, in his mind, is the use of the Border Patrol as basically human processors to just get as many people in, that's the goal, it seems, if he's happy with this operation.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, right? As I say, they don't want to solve the crisis, they're trying to manage the crisis. And by managing the crisis, they're simply processing
Is it
people
even
in.
A crisis to them?
Well, to them, it probably is not, but I think to most Americans it is.
Right.
So they want to process and manage it, right? They're trying to avoid pictures of migrants under bridges and things of that nature, because if they don't have pictures, then there's no crisis, nothing to see here. Yeah. And they're not trying to solve the fundamental problem, and that's the major difference. During the Trump administration, we actually tried to solve the problem. We wanted to make an impact for the American people. This administration has no desire to do that. They'd rather admire the problem. They'd rather just kind of look at it at a distance and say, yeah, but that's the way it's always been, right? I don't think that's what the American people want out of their government, is to say, well, it's always been that way. The cartels have always been there. Sorry, can't really do anything about it. No, they want you to roll up your sleeves. They want you to try things that haven't been tried before and take some risk.
The Department of Homeland Security was born in, I believe, 2002?
2003.
Right? 2003, thank you, right after the attacks of 9/11. Right. It basically, we reoriented many of our agencies to protect our country.
That's right.
And they deliberately put border protection and immigration under Homeland Security because it was a national security issue. So how bad is the national security threat with this border?
Well,
as we find, people that we've apprehended that had been on the terror watch list.
So it makes sense, right? It makes sense. It's a national security issue. It's the protection of your borders. It's national sovereignty. This isn't rocket science. You don't need advanced degrees to understand this is important. This is why every other border across the world is patrolled, is guarded, and is secured. And you don't let 250,000 people, which is how many people came across in the month of December of last year, came across that border. No other country would allow that in the world. And so, yes, there are national security threats, right? What the left would want you to believe is that there's just women and children coming across that border. That's not the case. They're not being truthful. They're not being honest with the American people. There's public safety threats, and there's national security threats. There's watch-listed individuals that the Biden administration is picking up month after month after month. And so you have to ask why are they trying? If you're on why are you trying to come across the southern border? Right? It's not because, I now know that's the way. It's because it's open, and they see that it's open, and they're willing to take the chance.
Yeah. There's also, by the way, I hate that conservatives take a backseat to the left on compassion and humanitarian concerns. By having this open port, by having this open invitation, you are empowering the cartels, you're empowering the coyotes, you're creating the situation where women are getting raped and assaulted on the way up. Where's the compassion for these individuals?
So
having a secure border is a compassionate
It's
policy.
my hobby horse. You hit right on it, which is, what I heard time and time again out of from those on the left and when we were serving was the Trump administration's immigration policy is so inhumane.
Yeah.
And I would ask them, which part? Why don't you peel that back for me? Which part? Actually telling people the truth and holding people accountable and enforcing the law? Are you saying that's inhumane? So you need to go talk to Congress if that's the case, right? But this idea that the Biden administration, which you so rightly pointed out for 2 years, is selling these people a lie. They've encouraged them to come to the border, knowing that the vast majority of them will never qualify for asylum, that will need to be removed and deported back home. But what the Biden administration will also not say to the American people is they have no intention of removing them. So they're selling them in what we call pull factors. They're pulling them towards the border with a lie, knowing that the law will never be enforced after that.
That's not compassion.
No, it's not compassion. It's a lie.
Securing the border is actually compassionate and humane. Don't take a back seat to the left on that issue at all. Chad Wolf, thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it.
That's it for tonight. We'll be back Monday, same time, same place. In the meantime, I'll see you on the radio.